Everybody come and catch the show. You want dad jokes, they got plenty of those. So relax and listen on as Dev and Kyle start the apocalypse.
Hey there, Dev. How you doing, buddy?
I am alive, even though I feel like I'm dying from seasonal allergy bullcrap and the ick. I swear to God, it's not COVID. I swear, I've been tested multiple times. I just sound like I'm dying.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you only sound like you're dying. That's important to me. 2, I'm sorry that you're just good old fashioned sick instead of COVID sick. I got this impression. By the way, welcome everybody. This is how we start now. Just welcome. Everybody to another episode of Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse. He's Dev. I'm Kyle. This is the show. This is it. So I'm glad that you are just old fashioned sick, and there's a cure for that.
Is there? If it's just a common cold, is there a cure for that?
I think time heals all wounds, they say,
and colds, evidently.
Well, I mean, it doesn't heal head wounds, so it has to apply to something.
I mean, if you close it up, it'll heal over time. If you get some stitches and some iodine, put it in there, you good as renew. I mean, at least that's from my personal experience. I busted my head open one time, had like a 2-inch gap right down the center. Still have a scar. I moved a brick. I literally moved a brick that edged a garage door with my head playing basketball.
Oh, shit.
Blood everywhere. Blacked out for like 30 seconds. Definite concussion.
We're 5 episodes into this show, and we, for scheduling reasons, listeners don't know this, but it's been 6 weeks since the last time we recorded, Dev, right?
Feels like 6 years.
It does feel. It's been a hectic spring in the Dev and Kyle households. Anyway, I feel like I may have told this story before, but I don't care. This is where it ends. Apocalyptos, episode 5 is when you're going to start hearing shit over again.
We're old. We repeat things.
Yeah. Head wounds. Stop me if you've heard this one. You'll be the judge of this.
Don't put that on me.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
I mean, I can't remember what I did yesterday, but that's because it was Derby. But still, if it was a normal day, I probably wouldn't be able to remember what I did yesterday.
We got to get to Derby in just a second. So, head wounds. So, I play on a beer league softball team, and I hit a nice, easy single, bounced into the center fielder's glove, and I had a nice, easy jog to first base. Except that this league that I'm in has a bunch of 25-year-olds who think they still know how to play.
So bunch of tryhards.
Yeah, so I make it to first base, no problem. I'm trailing off 2 or 3 strides off field. He launches it from center field to try and get me out, but I'm like, again, already past the base. And so I start hearing like, watch out, watch out. And I'm like way out of play. The ball comes down and like skips across the top of my head as I demonstrate for you what skipping where my head might be.
Yeah, it was a very good demonstration if you could see it, but unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we're not video recording this.
I have a face for radio. So it just skips across the top of my head and puts this giant gash in my head. And it hurts, but it's not that big of a deal. And certainly not enough for me to stop playing that night. My wife looks at it. And she's like, whatever. Okay. Fast forward. I hate going to urgent cares because they suck.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you who are younger in your years and don't know the difference between an urgent care and an emergency room, an emergency room is where an urgent care sends you if you show up with anything that resembles an actual problem.
Yeah. Anything like broken bone.
They'll charge you your $75 and send you to the emergency room. So if you think that you're saving some copay by not going to the emergency room, you're not, because you'll end up paying them both if it's anything above the kind of cold that Dev has.
Yeah.
But I figure light scalp laceration self-diagnose. I can do this. Okay, great. We go to urgent care. They're like, well, you may have lost consciousness. When you might need like a brain scan. We don't. And I'm like fighting with the guy. I'm like, I didn't lose consciousness. You don't have to evaluate me for a brain injury. I just need this part of my scalp put back together. So long story short, I win that discussion. They're willing to do it. Okay. So now I'm there. She says, well, I have the numbing shot, but it hurts a lot getting the shot. And I would have to put 3 shots in. And I actually think that I only need to put 3 staples in.
Oh, no.
So I think it'll be just better to just do the 3 staples without the numbing shot. And I'm like, so I look at my wife and she's like, yeah, if that's what you think, it does hurt a lot. And I have heard that about the lidocaine.
Well, yeah, it stings too. The needle's pretty thick. It's pretty high gauge for a needle that's just going to put in something to numb you. It's like, all right, let's give you some extra pain to numb the pain that we're about to inflict. That's going to be worse than this.
Yeah. So they start. Ka-chunk. 1 staple's in. I'm ready. Ka-chunk. 2 staples. Trigger warning. I'm going to make staple noises.
Ka-chunk.
Ka-chunk. 3 staples are in. Oh, I think it's a little bit more. Sorry. Ka-chunk. We're at 4 staples. Oh, it's not closed yet. Ka-chunk. Oh, I don't know. Ka-chunk. We're at 6. For those of you keeping score at home. Oh my God.
I can't count that high.
And just, okay. Sorry. Ka-chunk. 7 staples, no painkiller later. I'm like, oh my God, at least I saved $125. Can we go? That's my story of a head wound that went wrong.
Oh, never had staples, but I've had dozens and dozens of stitches and some glue that's pretty much from what the ER nurse told me. It's basically medical super glue with stitches. Because I had, from that gap, they were like, we're going to put the glue in there and then we're going to stitch it up. And that way, because it was so wide, the stitches wouldn't try to separate a little bit. I'm like, that's great. That's really freaking great.
I learned about stitches during all of my stitchings. During one session,
the stitching,
I had subcutaneous stitches that they put in when the gash is super deep. So the guy like opened it up, put 3 stitches across the middle of my chin, then pulled it closed and put 15 across the outside. So there were 15 on the surface and 3 subcutaneous stitches. That's how deep that wound was when I fell on my face one time doing something stupid.
Using the medical terminology, subcutaneous. Way to go, Mr. Fancy.
Hey, we're back.
Moving right along.
I don't know if the listeners know that we have kids, but they get in the way of recording.
Just sometimes, like now, when they don't want to go to sleep. Yeah.
We've been doing this. Well, I mean, we took 6 weeks off in the middle, but we've been doing this for a few months. It's the first true interruption. I think we're doing all right.
Yeah, first true interruption, unless you count the interruptions that caused delays of actual recording nights, which I would argue are even longer interruptions than said interruptions from the night.
Speaking of interruptions to our schedule that I enjoyed, I did go on vacation this giant span of not recording. I did Disney World.
I did Destin. I don't know if I envy you for going to Disney World or if I feel bad for you going to Disney World.
Yeah. So you say Destin. People have heard of Disney World. So I'm gonna take yours for a second. Destin. I've never heard of that place. Maybe that's because I'm a West Coaster. But is that like famous on the East Coast or in the Southeast?
Yeah, it's like the Southeast, or it's Kentucky, Louisville specifically's destination for spring break. For college, high school, middle school, elementary, that is where families flood in. And Georgia is the same. Kentucky has pretty much spring breaks are all the same week across the board for the state. So going down there, you just follow a caravan of Kentucky license plates through Tennessee and Alabama and bam into Florida. And while you're there, usually Georgia's spring break is the prior week. So we come in right after they're there and we get all these, oh, we hate these 2 weeks out of the year because Georgia invades us and then Kentucky invades us, and you are the worst people that come in for a week at a time.
They just look you in the face and they're like, we can't wait till this week is over.
I was like, yep, I'm sorry. I get it. I know a lot of the people that you're talking about specifically, and I apologize for the state. I apologize if I come off that way or if I'm associated with anybody that's like that. Please don't judge us all. We're not all like that, I promise.
No one told me that they openly hated me while I was at Disney World. I did get a little shade, and I replayed this moment in my mind a bunch. I don't think that she was trying to be mean to me, but it sure hurt.
Those are the worst. When somebody's not intending to be mean, but then they stab you right in the gut and say something. You're like, oh, shit, ouch, really?
So here's what happened. I was surprised by this fact. It's only Magic Kingdom in the expanded Disney World universe where there's no alcohol whatsoever. So at the Epcot and the Animal Kingdom and the other places, you can get a drink while you're out walking around the park. This is great. This was a full surprise to me. And I found out at Epcot that there's like a drink for every country. The margaritas were good. I tried them all. So I consumed a few, buying them one at a time. Ding, bop, 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 bop. It was the third day. So we did a 5-day pass. And so I was at my third park on the final day of being able, because we put Magic Kingdom on as the 2 bookends.
Smart.
I've now been 3 days of buying alcohol at the park. And I finally get carded for the first time. And I say to the person, I haven't been carded all week. That's very nice of you. And she says, oh, yeah, the rule is that we're not supposed to card someone if they're definitely over 40. But in your case, I was like,
ouch.
And I was like, I just told you that no one carded. And she was like, oh, yeah, you looked like sort of 40-ish. I am sort of 40-ish. But what she inadvertently told me is that everyone else who saw me was like, that dude's definitely 40.
Oh, yeah, he's pushing 45 for sure.
Oh.
We don't have to card him. She was trying to be nice, but like, yeah, I didn't think you were. But part of me was about to go, I don't need to card him, but maybe I should.
Yeah.
Because maybe my boss will be like, no, I've carded him already. That dude's only 37.
Oh, my God. I didn't even really. It's one of those like slow burns where I had my drink and we had like ended this cordial conversation and I'm turning to walk away. Did she just say what I? Yeah. And I just.
Yeah, it clicks and you're like, damn.
And you just get a hold of the straw and just drown your sorrows in whatever she just handed me.
I mean, age is nothing but a number. I get carded a lot, especially if I have my beard shaved, which is one of the reasons why I keep my beard. So I don't get carded as often. But when I do, I'm like, I still got it, I guess. I don't have any gray hairs yet. Well, I take that back. I'm starting to get a couple, and I pick them out, even though the old wives' tale is you pluck a gray hair to grow back in its place. I haven't seen that yet. They're not starting to multiply like gremlins. I haven't fed them after midnight, which, quick aside, the whole gremlin premise, the movie Gremlins, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's this cute little furry creature with huge ears, looks kind of like a cross between a corgi and a chihuahua. And his name Gizmo, yes. Super cute and adorable. This kid gets him from a very racist, now that you look back on it, kind of Chinese medicine man at the back of a restaurant. Yeah.
Sure. It was the 80s, man. We were trying.
And the only rule is don't get him wet and don't feed him after midnight. Okay, I can see the don't get him wet deal. That makes complete perfect sense. Yep. You get him wet, something chemical reaction with the H2O and you get gremlins. But don't feed him after midnight. Technically, isn't any time after midnight? Because during the day, it's after midnight from the previous night. When is the applicable time to feed Gizmo, who is a Mogwai? That is the name of his race, a Mogwai. But if you get him wet,
Mogwai, that is, yep.
Or you feed him after midnight, he produces gremlins, which like are little eggs that pop out of him like pimples, if I'm recalling correctly.
I think it was never explained, but I believe that it was like midnight to sunrise was your window.
See, that needs to be explicit because I hear after midnight, I'm like, so don't feed him.
Sure.
Got it. Don't get him wet and don't feed him. How does this creature survive? Through just oxygen, breathing?
Well, it's never made clear that the Mogwais ever reproduce. I think, to your point, I think that Mogwais are just the larval stage of the Gremlins, and that they're just tricking you.
Yeah.
There's no way I don't think you ever saw two Mogwais at the same time, but that one Mogwai made like 150 Gremlins, right?
101 Gremlin-mations.
They just kept popping out of him, like you said, like Bacne. Pop, pop.
And it seemed painful. So I felt bad for the little guy. It's been probably 20 years since I've seen the movies, but aren't they making another one?
I'm sure we're getting another one. We're getting another everything.
Tell me the time frame. Say, don't feed him between midnight and 6 a.m. Okay, got it. But don't say don't feed him after midnight. That's got it. Never. Starve the little guy. Cool.
I've just come up with this premise right now. I think the Mogwai is just the larval stage of the gremlin reproductive cycle. And the gremlins just make one they all get together, they make the one Mogwai, and they send it to a planet. And that's how they get going. That has to be it, because the gremlins never reproduce.
It needs to be explained. The third one, this third installment needs to explain this. There's so many questions. I need these answered. Universal or whoever makes it. Paramount.
I think it's got to be Disney, right? Doesn't Disney make every
Disney better? I mean, come on. The mouse owns all.
They got you.
Come at me, Disney. Wait, don't come at me, Disney.
Maybe I'll sit down with a pad on a future episode and figure out if the Mogwai is just the reproductive stage of the gremlin.
I'm sure there is some thesis paper for a college doctorate out there that goes in depth onto this subject. We just have to find. We need to comb the annals of all submitted theses. That now it just doesn't sound right. Theses.
I think it's theses.
Theses. Oh, that sounds even worse. The theses.
Yeah, like feces.
Comb the annals of theses. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. We're going with that, whether that's proper English or not, which I feel ashamed because I'm such a critical person when it comes to proper grammar. And
I refuse to feel shame for this show.
Comb the annals of theses for this amazing doctorate write-up. It's got to be out there. If not, someone that's listening, please use this. I don't care what you're getting your doctorate in or your master's or whatever. If you're writing a thesis, it can be on something about reproduction or logic. I'm sure you can pull dozens of topics out of this. Write it about the gremlins and our Mogwais, the larval stage, sent from an alien planet to populate with gremlins. Let us know.
And then email us at devandkylesta@gmail.com.
We'd be more than happy to edit it and send it back with some peer reviewing, especially if it's going to get published. We want our names attached to it. Maybe some royalties if you're selling it for $1.50 online.
Absolutely, royalties. We're here for that. If you'd like to sponsor the show for your email us. devandkylesta@gmail.com. Dev and Kyle start the apocalypse. So I was at Disney World.
Yes. After we got sidetracked.
And that lady insulted me. But there are so many people at Disney World who
the freaks
look like they're in their home environment. Like Disney is their personality. And I get it. It's fun. It's fun. It's fine. I waited. I'm not going to do it every year. I waited till my kids were prime theme park age.
You're done.
I blew the doors off. We're not going back next year. They'd like to see it. It's not going to happen next year. Well, while we were on this vacation where we walked, I believe that my wife's watch recorded that we walked 68 miles in 5 days.
Is that an exaggeration or is that an actual number?
Plus or minus a couple of miles. We were there. We had a 5-day pass and then we did Gatorland in the middle. So 6 days.
Gatorland. Yeehaw.
Sorry. So 6 days, but 68 miles is. Yeah. Gatorland was great.
Well, yeah.
It was a great sort of palate cleanser in the middle. But there are people walking around just dressed. And I don't mean the employees. Obviously, I can dissociate the employees. Those people those people don't look like they're enjoying being there. Most of the time, they're faking it. They're doing a good job. Everybody I met at Disney World was great.
Oh, yeah.
Even the person who called me old, great service. It was fine. Some of those people who were there with the matching shirts and the dad and the whole thing. I did see one whole family, and they all had their first names on their hats. And I did want to walk up to the guy and be like, "Hey, Kevin, it's me." You know how long it took him to figure out that I didn't know him?
That's the wholesome version of using the names on the hats towards someone. The unwholesome, which is what my mom and my grandma would say, is if you put those kids' names on their hat, it makes it easy for them to be abducted. Because going up and just saying a kid's name automatically gets you. I thought you had to have candy and a white van.
Someone said this to me the other day, and it was shockingly accurate for me.
Yeah.
And it was that in the 90s, when I first experienced the internet, my parents were very anti-doxing, right? Don't give out your name. Don't give out. I was a kid. It's fine. I should be getting those. But they're like, you don't know who anybody is on the internet. True. That's right. You don't. Fast forward 27 years from 1996. And
wait, 1996, was it like 5 years ago?
No, it was not.
No.
Sorry to blow your mind. 1995 has been able to drink for a while.
Oh, God.
But now they will send me things that one of these internet strangers that they used to deride me about even invest. You don't know who any of those people are. You can't trust a thing they say. But now AmericanEagle.Facebook says.
I gave them all my info.
Can we go back to 1995 where you don't trust anybody on the internet?
Yeah.
Wow.
I started out in AOL chat rooms, ASL, which for anybody, it's not American Sign Language. It stands for age, sex, location in a chat room, which is where all the Catch a Predator stuff spawned from.
Yep.
And you'd go into chat rooms, which are kind of like message boards like Reddit, but it was all real-time messaging, kind of like you see on a Twitch stream where it's just popping off left and right.
Yep.
And it would be for specific topics. And you would think you're talking to other kids, and there would be 50-year-old dudes in there.
I never thought I was talking to other kids. I always just assumed that it was all 35-year-old men. It was one of the strangest things that I had to get used to over the last 25 years of using the internet is that there are, in fact, real girls on the internet. Now that it's become so ubiquitous that everyone is on the internet. But it took me longer than it should have to be like, I don't think girls are using the internet. And I know that's sexist and blah, 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 but the numbers bear me out in 1996.
Oh, it took me a couple of years of being online, probably 7th, 8th grade before it really clicked of, all right, 90% of these people are not kids. Unless I know them personally in the real world, these are not the people that they say they are. And now it's kind of flipped with social media and everybody's just laying out their life completely unabated. Yeah.
Those people are still not who they say they are, but their name is more accurate.
Well, even then, yeah. I mean, catfishing and stuff, but your average person that's not an influencer they're out there just completely letting it all hang out. Here's photos of my cat and what I had for lunch and me and all my family and my best friends and where I go every Thursday at 12 o'clock for lunch. So if you want to stalk me, you can come get me here.
I learned the funniest thing about people taking pictures of their food, and that is this. A friend of mine told me that there's a Cantonese expression that says, cameras eat first. And I found that to be wildly entertaining.
Is that like a modern Cantonese expression or one that's been around since like the invention of the camera?
No, it's like apparently it's like a regular thing like that now, sort of slangy, hip new people. The food hits the table and then somebody will say, cameras eat first. Click, click.
Cameras eat first when you go out to do pretty much anything, like going to Disney. One of the first things people do when they get in, we got to take a big group photo. We've got to commemorate this moment.
I will recommend taking that photo as soon as you arrive. At Disney World, they've got this photo pass thing and you can like scan it. They've got the whole thing, technological marvel going on at Disney World. They've got a little QR code and they've got people working as professional photographers in all these different spots. You can just walk up to them and be like, hey, this is me. And they'll just bloop, bloop. And then they take your picture and it links that picture to you. And then you don't have to worry about it. Then when you get home, you can decide if that was a good picture or not.
That's brilliant.
So we were using those instead of our cameras. It's great. Yeah, the Disney people, they have it down to a science how to get the money out of you.
Oh, yeah.
We also had them take a group photo of us as we were leaving.
Totally different expressions.
The final day, after 68 miles, my daughter's asleep in the photo. And my wife and I are just like, ugh.
You look like you just went on a bender in college. You show up, smiley faces, everybody's glowing, super jacked. Day 5, you're like, get me the hell out of here. Fuck this. I'm out. Now, did you guys see any of the fabled Disney gangs while you were there?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Are you serious? You haven't heard of the Disney gang? This is real deal. I'm not even joking. I know you don't Google, so I'm
not going to Google it.
I can Google it right now, but it's more fun to just tell you. And you can go look it up when you actually want to validate this. Actually, I'll get a couple people that I know that you know that'll validate it.
I'm never going to question this. This is going to come as a fact. Disney gang.
Disney gangs. It's like motorcycle clubs where they have leathers and the gangs take different stories from Disney characters and then base their gang around that. Like there's the Lost Boys that are like Neverland, and yeah, it's insane. Like different villains and stuff have gangs, and they go in and just pile in the droves. The look on your face, you're like, what in the hell is this shit? Yes, you're talking about people making Disney their personalities. See, it all comes back. We go off on little side tangent roads and kind of frolic off the trail, but we make our way back. These people are the epitome of it. Making my way downtown. Disney gangs are the epitome of making your identity around Disney.
That's incredible.
Oh, I'm sending it to you right now.
I find that concept in 2022 to be the most predictable concept that I was not expecting. But then you said it, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
I've had to scroll like 6 times on this alphabetical list of the Disney gangs. There is a list on that link that I just sent you. There is a list of the Disney gangs. For example,
yeah, tell me the good ones.
Agents of Hydra. Yeah, of course. That's a gimme.
Okay. Right, sure.
Andy's Misfits, Toy Story reference. As Guardians of the Castle.
These are all just like Marvel ones. I want some old school ones.
Beast Brigade, Bell's Book Club, Big Bad Wolves. That's a throwback. Briar Patch Kids. Okay, now.
Briar Patch Kids is pretty funny.
Chernobog's Lost Souls. Oh, going with the Fantasia reference there. Nice.
Deep cut.
Cloud City Crew. Nice. Coco's Locos. That's a new one. Dark Side Elite. Dark Side SC. Darth Maulers.
I jumped ahead of you and I just found Gaston's Optimists.
Oh, that's a nice one. I like that. These are insane. Loki's Army, Knights of Mandalore, Jedi Masters. I mean, some are kind of like, all right, you guys really didn't try hard. You just easy pickings, low hanging fruit. But some of these are pretty creative, and they go out. They got like Sons of Anarchy start. Yeah, they got cuts.
They got jackets and everything. The plaid vest mafia.
I mean, some of these are borderline. How will Disney allow them to be named that and walk around? But I mean, for them to be a gang that shows up, or they're social clubs. Sorry, I can't say gang. They're social clubs. Yes, let's get that right. Let's get that correct here. Are they even sponsored by Disney?
There's no way they're sponsored. No.
Or like approved, or not sponsored. Like they've given the approval. Like, all right, we'll allow you guys to come in like that. Tolerated.
Speaking of tolerating, I took my youngest child on a ride. You like rides? Do you like the roller coasters and the whole thing?
I love roller coasters. Like the faster, the taller, the more loops, the better.
When I was a child, I wasn't hip to roller coasters, and I've grown into roller coasters now. I think that they're great. So I didn't know how all my kids would do on rides. We had to sort of feel it out. We did Space Mountain, and I didn't realize that Space Mountain at Disney World is a single car, so you can't even sit next to anybody. So my 6-year-old is in front of me, and we do it, and you can't hear anything inside there, and it's crazy. I love that ride. So we finally get back into the light, and
oh no,
the thing releases, and she turns around and looks back at me, and there are tears streaming down her face, and I'm like, oh no, this is like first day, like this is gonna ruin rides for the rest of the thing. And she goes, Daddy, is it already over?
Tears of disappointment, not tears of fear.
Tears of disappointment. Yep. We had a blast. She was up for everything. We did Space Mountain 2 or 3 more times during the trip. She was up for anything. It was awesome. We loved it.
It's like, all right, kid, can you keep those tears on and make up some story? Just go along with whatever I say. We're going to try to cut the line. We're just going to be like, this is her last day at Disney World, and she's never going to get to come back again. And just leave it at that. You don't say anything else. Make it very ambiguous. So people will just be like, oh, yes, of course. Come on, little girl. And you're like, exactly. They don't know that we're never coming back here as a family. They're thinking something else. Just nod and keep crying.
We had a hard time with that because, so there's a rule. She was tall enough for everything. My kids are tall. She was tall enough for everything, but she was only 6. And nowhere does it say that 7-year-olds must be adjacent to someone who's 14 or older. But that's like a hard and fast rule. They found a ride that had no line at the end of the night. And it was so hard for us to convince her to lie to the people and say that she was 7 so that she could go on it, like, and be in it by herself. Yeah. Like, it was like, no, baby, if you just say you're 7. And then she like did it, but she like said she was 7 and like looked over at me like a giant winking face. Like, baby, they're going to catch you.
I went through the same thing with the boy when he was 6, and we went to a place called Holiday World and Splash and Safari. And he wanted to ride one of the roller coasters there where you had to be at least 7 years old to ride on your own. And we were like, yeah, just go do it. You got this. Nope. I don't want to say I'm 6. No, today you're 7. You're 7 all day today, but I'm not. Yes, you are.
Happy birthday.
And then the same thing with the height. I'm like, stand up and just kind of arch your back up to get that extra little bit to be over the line, and you're good. But then they'll see. No, they won't. Just do it and kind of raise up for a second and then right back down. You'll be good.
My wife went full mama bear. We went to this local, those local place where they got the go-karts and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, so she did actually measure my son, and he was tall enough to drive by himself. So then we get to the place, and the sign is like janky and like hanging by one bolt, but it's also way higher. And he now looks like he's a full 2 inches too short. And she was like, I measured him over there. And like the teenagers were getting a very respectful but forceful mama bear earful. I looked at your other sign, the official sign in front of where I had to buy these tickets, and I bought a driver ticket, which is different than a passenger ticket. So your sign is broken, and I know how tall my son is.
Your sign's broken, not his height.
She's like, he didn't get shorter on the walk down the stairs. They were like, oh, okay, well, we'll see if he can reach the pedals. And he could reach the pedals, but he's never driven before. So he absolutely rear-ended another kid that was in our party, just hardcore.
And the teenagers are just doing the face palm going, we told you to not let him drive.
You'd be cool.
It sounds like you had a more eventful time at Disney World than I had at Destin.
While we were on the adventure, like during the 3rd day, my wife and I were already looking at each other and saying, next family vacation has sand and palm trees and drinks. We're not going anywhere without an itinerary, like nothing. And then I saw your photos of sand and palm trees and drinks, and I was very jealous as I was coming off the...
It was pretty nice. The food was not the best. I don't know what... I guess we just picked bad restaurants. And we didn't go to a couple places that were regular haunts that we'd go to, Fuddpuckers being one of them, which if you've never been to a Fuddpuckers, it's great TGI Friday kind of style, greasy American bar food. But they also have a huge arcade, like Dave & Buster's kind of attached to it. And then down the street, they own a location called The Track, which I'll give you 2 guesses what they're big for at the track. Those golf cart things that go really fast that are kind of short and close to the ground. 2 big tracks, mini golf and an arcade there too. We spent way too much money at that place. Way like going to a casino kind of money at that place. I mean, I feel like arcades and those kind of joints are just kid casinos, especially the way that they had that arcade set up. It's not like old school arcades that we used to go to, or even like Dave & Buster's arcades. It's all these just chance games. Slide your card in and then push a button and hope you win some tokens. Nothing of skill, nothing with any kind of level, or it's a kid casino. And we got suckered hard. But yeah, I love it. It's addicting, but I'm also a habitual gambler too. I mean, yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, I get it from my dad.
I just want like Mortal Kombat 15. Just plunk the quarters in.
I want the old school X-Men game that had 6 players on it. That's what I want. I want that in my basement. And I want people to actually have to bring their own quarters over and be like, no, you don't have quarters. You can't play. And I'm not giving you quarters. You want to play. This is just like the arcade. You bring your quarters. You play. If you got some, you die, you're off. The next guy's up.
I can absolutely see you running a cutthroat video game arcade.
If there weren't 3 of those arcade bar that is becoming popular everywhere here, I would definitely open one of those in a heartbeat. But I would also be like the guy walking around with stuff to fix the machines on like one of those aprons and just pestering kids and be like, I will kick your ass. You suck at this game. You're doing it wrong. Watch me.
The guy fixing the machine was always the best guy at the video arcade. No one was ever sad to see him show up.
It's like, oh, you're going to get me my money back and maybe give me some extra tickets too because you're going to have the machine open. And it was always an old dude with like a mustache and glasses, just like in Wreck-It Ralph. Like that was the stereotypical dude, balding.
They didn't come up with that guy out of nowhere.
Yeah, life imitating art or art imitating life, I guess, in that instance. Back to Disney.
No, not back to Disney. You know what?
Yes, back to Disney. Back to Disney for a second.
Okay, for a second.
Because you and I saw something recently.
Oh, this is not going to be for a second.
That is Disney related. We can't go in too deep because it's fresh and we don't want to do too much spoilers. Well, I guess we're going to do spoilers. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Doctor Strange,
Doctor Strange 2.
Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. If you haven't seen Doctor Strange in the past 6 years, that's on you. But Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, sorry. We didn't spoiler alert you for Gremlins.
Okay, there is a cutoff on spoiler
Statute
alert.
of limitations.
Yes.
That's right.
Within 5 years, you have to say spoiler alert. After that, I mean, and that's a big grace period. Most people will say after a year, it's on you. But with so much content getting thrown at us from so many different directions, I give people a little bit more grace to have viewing time. So, Multiverse of Madness.
Doctor Strange 2 was great. It was amazing.
I liked it, and the more I've thought about it, because I just saw it last night in 3D, I've got a lot of criticisms for it.
What?
There's a lot of things that I'm liking more the more I think about it, but there's some things that, even though I liked it, I wish it was slightly different. Case in point, Sam Raimi.
Okay.
I love his work. Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yep.
He is a great director. But
you're losing me here.
I see why he did this on 2 different levels. One, he had one kind of style with Spider-Man that strayed away from Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. Spider-Man had some Army of Darkness stylization to it, just a hair. Like with the colorization and some of the shots and angles. But Doctor Strange felt like it was Evil Dead and Army of Darkness with Marvel just painted over top of it.
Yeah, but but that worked.
It worked, but it wasn't. I did not expect what I got whatsoever.
Sure.
When I left the theater, I'm like, that was not the movie I thought I was going to go in to watch at all.
Sure.
And because of the way that he did the Evil Dead-esque stylization of the film, it going from the one-liners, the jump scares.
Uh-huh.
I get it. They were trying to make a horror movie out of Doctor Strange, which they did. They definitely made it a PG-13 Marvel horror movie. It went in and out because of the superhero aspect of making it feel like it was two movies kind of edited together, which works the more I think about it because it's a multiverse of madness kind of thing going on. The disjointedness, it works. It fits. I see a lot of people bitching about that, and I get it.
I didn't think it was disjointed.
It's not disjointed. It jumps all over the place. America Chavez, who, for those who aren't in the know, if you're still listening and aren't going to go see it and don't care about the spoilers, is a new hero in Marvel comics, like in the past decade or two, and a brand new hero into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Doesn't really get any kind of backstory. She's thrown into the middle of this, and she's almost just an accessory for plot device because of her powers. And when you think about it from a logical standpoint, she could have just ended and the whole conflict never been an issue to begin with. If A, she just tries to go back home or stops using her power, figures out how to use it so she doesn't use them accidentally. So then Wanda can't chase her down. So that kills everything before it ever happened. Duh, but okay, I get it. It's for plot advancement, yada, yada, yada. But even with Wanda's ultimatum of, I don't want her just to send me to a universe where I could have my kids back, she could still say, okay, I will send you to that universe, but if something should go wrong, if you need to do like you're expecting and just kind of having something in line for it.
She says she can't do that.
But she could go back.
She says she hasn't figured out how to use them.
But she could. That's what I'm saying. She could figure out, she's like, give me time, train me. Wanda's got the power and the ability, and Doctor Strange and all the other sorcerers, they could train her, teach her how to use it. And then, okay, I can send you to be with your kids. We'll find a universe because I know how to look through all of them, and I'll find the exact one that I need to go to where your variant has passed away, but the kids don't know about it. So you can just fit right in. And if something goes wrong where you need to go to another universe to fix something when it comes to illness with them or whatever, or I saw on Reddit where somebody said it's not just if something should happen to one of them and she needs to cure something. It's where she has spare part kids of, I need to go either replace one of them because I lost one, so I'm going to go get a new one before the other sibling realizes it. Or actual spare parts like, oh, you lost a hand. Well, let's go get one from one of your variants and just put it right back on.
Having access to spare part children makes going to Disney World a lot less stressful. Be like, where'd they go? I don't care.
Oh, I don't care. I can just go to another universe and grab that kid. Yeah, it's a 1-to-1. It's not like you're getting a younger or an older version necessarily.
There's only one thing that listening to your rant about how it could have just not been a movie, which would have been less entertaining, just so you know.
Like it would have gone, the movie would have gone in a totally different direction.
Sure. Have you seen Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes. A long time ago.
Okay.
It's been decades.
Did you know that if you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark and figure out what happens, Indiana Jones spoiler alert, Indiana Jones has no effect on the plot of that movie whatsoever. At no point does Indiana Jones modify what was happening. He's the star, he's the hero, but as you watch, he doesn't actually accomplish anything.
He's basically the audience's eyes into what's going on, and he's just living it.
Even the final battle, Spoiler alert, he doesn't beat the bad guys. He's just there, tied up by the bad guys, and he says, close your eyes. That's the only thing he knows, is that you should close your eyes, and then everyone else melts. And the Nazis defeat themselves by opening the box. What's in the box?
Yeah. Even if he wasn't there, that would have happened.
That would have happened. He just wouldn't have been there. The entire movie is like that.
There's a lot of movies that when you think about it, you're like the whole problem that is being solved in this film, if there's even one, because it could be one of those abstract films where there's no real resolution. It's just left up to your interpretation. But then ones like Indiana Jones, you could have solved this so easily, and none of this bad shit would have ever had a chance of happening. And anybody with a modicum of logic would go, yeah, let's do that. Although the past 5 years, maybe I should retract that whole statement there.
Somebody sent me a screenshot from a zombie movie.
That narrows it down.
What movie was it? Zombieland. Zombieland.
Double tap.
And it said, how do we know that this movie was fake or was fiction? And it was a screenshot of them being in a grocery store. The main guy with the bat. Isn't that McConaughey in that movie?
No, it's Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, interchangeable.
His character's name is Tallahassee.
Yeah. Woody Harrelson is walking forward carrying a bat, and it's a freeze frame, and then it's circled in the bottom. You can see that there are still 8 multi-packs of toilet paper on the shelves that haven't been looted. That's how you know that movie was actually fiction.
Oh, yeah. It's totally unrealistic. Like, if you're going to try to make a zombie movie, at least have all the essentials rated out of any kind of store. Toilet paper being number 1, for sure. I can't even think number 2.
I don't think of toilet paper as being number 1, but apparently people do.
Yeah, toilet paper and bread. And if it's good, well, you don't know what it's like when there's a snowstorm that comes through. But when a snowstorm comes through, it's go out to the grocery store and get milk and bread, because you might get snowed in. Like, what the hell? You get bread, but maybe you should get some things to go on the bread too, instead of just let's go get milk and bread. And that you'll see people go to the grocery store and literally just buy milk and bread. It has been ingrained in us in the South to go get milk and bread so you can make milk sandwiches.
Milk sandwiches.
You take a piece of bread, you pour some milk on it, slap the other piece of bread on it, and eat your soggy milk sandwich. That's the only thing I can think of when people are like, get your milk and your bread for the snowstorm. Don't go out and get your milk and bread and peanut butter and jelly, or your milk and bread and deli meats. No, go out and get your milk and your bread, make your milk bread sandwiches in a bowl.
Speaking of people who are going insane,
I apologize and don't apologize for my lack of sanity and ramblings this episode due to my 7-month-old.
Joke time. Please laugh.
Yay!
it's joke time, Dev.
Joke time.
So there are 2 cows out in a field. And the first cow says to the other cow, "Oh my God, did you hear about this mad cow thing? I heard one of the cows on McGillicuddy's farm came down with it. I don't know. What are we going to do?" And the second cow says, "Ooh, look at me. I'm a helicopter."
But
Yeah, I like that joke.
I like that joke too.
Speaking of insane people.
Very much so. I am. Are we talking about me?
We're not talking about you, but I do have one big topic to close the show. Do you know anything about frisbees, Dev?
I know that they're discs that you can throw and they hover and can go long distances. You can play golf with them, and you can play ultimate frisbee, and you can play fetch with your dog.
And you can play disc golf. You play disc golf?
I have never played disc golf.
Neither have I. I went down an internet rabbit hole because I found out, this is how my brain works, Dev. I found out that the guy who invented the frisbee invented disc golf. And my first immediate thought was, well, if he invented the frisbee, why didn't he just call it frisbee golf?
Right.
Well, he didn't. And apparently it's because he was an inventor working for whoever invented the Frisbee or whatever. But then when he patented disc golf, it was after he had retired from that same company. So he didn't actually have access to the Frisbee name. He's the same guy who invented the Super Ball.
Wow. Talk about having a monopoly on cheap kids' toys.
Steady Ed Hedrick. That's his name. He invents the Super Ball. He apparently, according to the website I took some notes for this one. 20 million Super Balls, the official name brand Super Ball they sell. He does the Frisbee, 200 million Frisbees they sell. He's set. But apparently he doesn't invent it. He just sees people throwing around. And this is where there's some consternation. There's a Frisbee pie company, but it's spelled different. FRISBIE. Frisbee. And the people, they swear that they've been throwing the pie plates of the Frisbee pie company since the beginning of time. I don't understand why those particular pie plates are better, but that's what they say. And they think that they say that that's where he stole the name from. Who knows? Beginning
of time. That's quite a lofty statement.
Apparently it's near Yale. So it is like the...
Oh, that's all you had to say. Yeah. Yale. Oh yeah. We created everything. We invented your life.
Oh yes. We've invented it.
We kind of run it.
So I mentioned that this guy invented disc golf. He has a specific invention for the game of disc golf. The official name on patent 4,039,189. The official name of that device is the Disc Pole Hole.
Disc Pole Hole.
Which...
with the chains?
Yeah, the chains hanging down. But that name just made me giggle. And that's what inspired this to be even something that we would talk about. So that I could say the phrase Disc Pole Hole and make you laugh. Because it made me laugh.
Is it Whammo that was the company, the inventor of the slinky?
Probably. I'm not going to Google it.
It sounds like something Whammo would come up with, which that means Frisbee is a name brand.
Yeah, Frisbee is a name brand.
So everything else would just be a flying disc?
Mm-hmm. If it's not made in the Frisbee region of France, it's just a flying disc.
It is just carbonated disc in the air. That is all it is.
We gotta end on this one. Steady Ed died in 2002. His family, he made his wishes clear to his family, and they have followed through on it. They took his ashes and they made him into a Frisbee.
I was hoping you were going to say that. That is okay. I've always wondered, what do I want to be buried? Do I want to be cremated? I want to be cremated and compressed into a diamond Frisbee. Because you can do the compression and be made into a diamond. I want to be made into a diamond Frisbee.
Sure. Just an iced out Frisbee. They had a quote from Danny Hedrick, son of Steady Ed. It would make my father really happy to know that we've played Frisbee multiple times with his remains. He said he wanted to end up as a Frisbee that accidentally lands on someone's roof.
I hope they just drive around and throw him up on random roofs and then knock on the door and be like, hey, my dad's up on your roof. Can you help me get him down?
I had nothing to do with Frisbee, and I just love that dream.
Oh, I'm going diamond Frisbee now.
That's on my bucket list now, is to have something to be made into. I don't know what it is yet.
I take that back. I don't want to be fully cremated. I want
if we do this right, I'll have myself made into a podcasting microphone, because that'll be what I'm known for.
Just like a part of me lopped off and cremated and then created into a diamond Frisbee. That way, just in case, when the rapture comes, if I need my corporal form, I still got part of it. I don't need, I just take off, the pinky toes.
Are you going to have your head frozen? And then the rest of you turn into a Frisbee?
No, I want the whole, actually, you know what? Just take my right leg off, because by the time I come out of cryogenesis, they will hopefully have some kind of, mechanized bio replacement.
Well, I mean, I was going to say we have replacement legs now. You could just
No. I'm not talking about current. I don't want to be like the Oscar Pistorius. I'm not looking for that. I don't want a blade. I don't want I want an actual functioning leg again that has feeling nerves. Give it, 50 years, 100 years. Bring me out of cryostasis. I'm good to go. I'm like RoboCop.
I worked with a guy who was missing the end of his pinky finger.
Is he Johnny Depp?
No, that's a different finger.
I don't know fingers. I'm not a hand doctor.
I'm just going to skip right over that whole so much just fertile soil. I'm going back to my story. He was missing the tip of his pinky finger, and he had a little end cap made that was like perfectly fit down his finger to like extend the finger. And so it's supposed to just be this dummy finger that you would get. And so it was just like an end cap for his finger that made his finger the same length so that like you would notice. Okay, but
every time you say end cap, I'm thinking like a pin cap.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was just
like this guy's got a pin cap, just like, yep, made it. I just pulled off a Bic and I painted it the color of my skin. I just pop it on.
He like cut a chunk out of it and put a USB drive in it, like a flash drive.
That's pretty awesome.
And then he's like, see, I'm a cyborg now. And so he could put his fake finger in the computer and you could look at his pictures. It was the dumbest cyborg I ever met in my life, but I met one.
It's so dumb, but so cool. If I ever lose an appendage, I'm going to do that. Or get a QR code. Like if I ever have to get a prosthetic.
Just get a QR code tattooed on your forehead, Dev. I think that'll really... Well, each of us in episode 1000 will have the QR code that takes you to the podcast tattooed on our bodies.
On episode 1000. Deal.
And then that way, when people are like, what do you do for a living? We just boop, boop.
Go, just scan that right there. You'll find all you need to know. Although by episode 1000, people won't need to scan it unless we're, in a foreign country or something. Well, even then, we're going to be global.
We're already 1000. Global.
We already are. Technically, we already are.
This podcast is available in all of the countries of the world except for one. But that's the game to find out which one.
It's Russia.
Yeah, it's fucking Russia. Yeah, of course it is.
Well, and China. Is it the end?
It's been an enjoyable hour, Dev.
Is it the end? No. Oh, it's one of my favorite parts of the show.
There's only one good part about the end of the show. Are you ready for it?
Play us out.
Have a great night, Dev. I've been Kyle. He's been Dev. And we have attempted to start the apocalypse. Good night, everybody.
Boobs.
Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse is brought to you every other week with a full archive available at devandkyle.com. The Apocalypse theme and other music in the show is written and performed by Chase Noseworthy. He's Chase Noseworthy on YouTube or at NoseworthyChase on Twitter. All graphic design for Dev and Kyle Start the Apocalypse has been created by Dead Vision. Find her work on Twitter and Insta at XDADOTTER and book her immense talents at XDADOTTER.com. Audio engineering provided by Cassandra Umsong. She can make you sound even better than Dev and Kyle because you'll provide much better raw materials. Get in touch with her on Twitter at coffeewithcoom. That's coffee with COUM. Dev and Kyle support artists and creatives of all types. Exposure is for film. Artists need compensation. If you're interested in becoming an apocalypto to help keep supporting all of the artists who make Dev and Kyle sound passably professional, please consider becoming a sustaining patron at patreon.com/devandkyle. Show notes, transcripts, and any other information from this episode should be available at devandkyle.com if Dev and or Kyle did their job. Fingers crossed. Finally, deeply and sincerely, Dev and Kyle think that you are a wonderful person who deserves love and compassion. We hope our small gift of what we consider interesting or entertaining has made your day even the tiniest bit better. Thank you for liking or subscribing in your favorite podcast app. And if you think others may want to know about this show, consider leaving a review in that same podcast app. It really helps us spread the word. Thank you.